What does that mean?
My name is Thomas Osborne.
Do I write it down?
I don't have a middle name. My folks didn't have any, so they never gave me a middle name.
Mommy, I don't write it down. When were you born and where?
I was born in Matewan, West Virginia, January 6th, 1929.
Did you have brothers or sisters?
I had 5 sisters and 4 brothers.
What was it like growing up?
Well, it was like being very poor. But we were no different than anyone else. Almost everyone at that time was very poor because there was no work for anybody. It was the Great Depression. And what we ate was what we could grow and what we could come by on our own.
What did your parents do?
My dad was a coal miner, and after the Great Depression, he worked at several laboring jobs, but he finally got a job with Allied Chemical in South Point, and he worked there until he retired.
Did you have television or telephone?
We did not have telephones or electricity until 1941.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school at South Point. First I went to Solidity grade school, then I went to South Point High School.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
I just wanted to be educated. I didn't have any plans for the future, but I was a pretty good football player, so I got a scholarship to play football at Cedarville. I went to Cedarville College and played football.
Did you go to college or the military?
You just answered the college part.
Did
Military.
I what?
Go into the military.
Then you gotta talk about
Did you go into military?
Oh yes, I went in the military when I was 16 years old. They didn't require a birth certificate then, so I lied about my age. I told them I was 17. So they let me in.
What did you become?
What did I become? I became a corporal.
What's the biggest difference from when you grew up to now?
The biggest difference between now and when I grew up was a matter of responsibility. Each person assumed responsibility when I was growing up. And these days, too many people are dependent on others to look after them. And that didn't happen when I was growing up. You either made it on your own or you didn't make it.
Think of some more.
Huh?
Think of something else.
I was in for 2 years. I am probably one of the, I'd say a handful of people alive today who saw Hermann Goering, that big fat slob who was the #1 besides Hitler. He was the #1 war criminal for Nazi Germany. And I got to see him. I was in Nuremberg when the Nuremberg trials were going on, and I had a buddy in the 1st Infantry, and they were pulling guard at the Palace of Justice, and he took me down, and I got to see that big fat slob before he committed suicide. He was sentenced to hang, but he committed suicide before he would let them hang him.
Where did you live when you
Where did I work?
lived?
Where all did you live growing up?
Where did I live? I lived mostly in Ohio growing up. I was in South Point, I lived in Cedarville, I lived in Springfield, and I came back to South Point. I came back to teach in the same high school where I went. I taught at South Point, but mostly it was in Ohio.
Where's all the schools that you taught
No, you gotta speak
I
up.
taught at Hanging Rock High School, at Kitts Hill High School, at South Point High School, at Jackson High School, at Rio Grande College, at Kent State University, and I retired from Rio Grande University.
at? What year did you retire?
I retired in 1991, at which time I moved to Ocala, Florida,
Why?
and I've lived in Florida ever since then.
Why?
Why? Because in Florida, it doesn't snow. I have never yet scraped a windshield in Florida, and it's usually kind of nice down here. I like the ocean, and I like the warm weather. What?
What are your brothers and sisters' names?
My brothers and sisters' names, and I'm naming them from the oldest to the youngest: Netzel, Opal, Ruby, Bill, Loretta, Virginia, John, Jeannie, and Jim.